3, 2, 1. Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Stage 1 prop is nominal. Stage 1 entry startup. Stage 1 is transonic. Stage 1 landing weird startup. Stage 1 landing leg deploying.
Falcon 9 has landed.
Hello y'all, this is Dr. Spacey. Welcome to my channel. Today's launch is an NROL-186 from Vandenberg Space Force Station, California. I'm your host for Dr. Spacey. I'll give you all the mission details, simulations, and showcases of previous flights. Let's get into it. Okay, the mission name for this mission is NROL-186. The launch time is Friday, June 28th, 2024 at 10:14 p.m. CDT, 11:14 p.m. EDT, and 8:14 p.m. PT, California time. This is a Falcon 9 Block 5. The booster supporting this mission is B-1081, landing Of Course I Still Love You, for its 8th launch and landing today. It will be its 31st day turnaround for this booster, and this will mark the 337th Falcon recovery attempt. This is NROL-186, the second batch of satellites for the National Reconnaissance Satellite Constellation built by SpaceX and Northrop Grumman for the National Reconnaissance Office to provide imaging and other reconnaissance capabilities. This will be launched from Slick 4 East, Vandenberg Space Force Station, Space Force Base, California, USA. This will be the 123rd orbital launch attempt of 2024, the 367th mission of SpaceX, and the 67th mission total for SpaceX this year. This will be the 352nd Falcon 9 mission total, and its 66th mission of a Falcon 9 this year. B-1081 previously supported these flights. I'm about to say there are 8 total flights. Starting from Florida, SpaceX Crew 7, Cirrus 29, Starlink Group 6S34, Pace. Now onto Vandenberg, Transporter 10, Starlink Group 8-1, ESA's Earth Care, and today's mission will mark its 4th mission in Vandenberg, which will be launching NROL-186 at 10:14 p.m. CDT. Let's look at that historic first flight B-1081 has achieved to make its way up to now. Let's watch.
Gas closeout has started. Expect loud venting.
There's the gas closeout call that we expected. Additionally, we will be in auto idle. This puts the rocket in a state the flight computers understand before it takes over, making sure the transition to final countdown is smooth. Coming up at T-minus 1 minute, we'll hear that Dragon is in countdown. Its computer will switch to countdown mode. We'll also hear that the flight termination system on Falcon 9 is armed.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon's in terminal count.
Dragon's flight computer in countdown and configured for launch, and the flight termination system now armed. Less than a minute until liftoff today.
Dragon, SpaceX.
The flight termination
Go for
system.
launch.
Dragon copy, go for launch.
You heard it, Crew 7 getting the go for launch, just 30 seconds away for an on-time launch. At the time of liftoff today, the space station will be flying 260 miles over southeastern Iraq.
T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine full power. And liftoff. Go Falcon, go Dragon, go Crew 7.
Endurance ascends, an international crew destined for the International Space Station.
Stage 1
That's
propulsion is
1.7
nominal.
million. Good calls from the propulsion officers here. Propulsion's nominal. 1.7 million pounds of thrust on Falcon 9, taking Crew 7 to the International Space Station, now traveling almost 300 miles per hour.
Nominal power and telemetry.
We are just about T plus 45 seconds into the 7th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9, and right now the vehicle is throttling down to help us pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. There's the call out that Crew 7 is now moving faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q. Stage 1 throttle up.
Confirmation we have moved through max Q and are throttling back up.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
Heard that call from Jasmine on Crew 7, as well as confirmation from the ground. The call out for 1 Bravo means we are in the second and final abort mode for the first
MVAC
stage,
chill is
continuing to
underway.
get good performance. We've got engine chill on the second stage MVAC engine. We will then be looking for MECO, or main engine cutoff, where the 9 engines on the first stage will cut off ahead of the first and second stages separating. Then the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will ignite. We are now coming up on 2 minutes into the flight, the spacecraft traveling over 2,000 miles per hour.
Really incredible nighttime views of Falcon 9 and Crew 7 on your screen right now. So as Leah just mentioned, we are keeping an eye on a couple of critical flight milestones coming up back to back here.
Stage 1 throttle
Those
down.
are going to be MECO. So main engine cutoff now that we're throttling down stage 1, followed by stage separation and second stage ignition.
Main engine cutoff. Stage separation confirmed.
Copy, 2 Alpha. MVAC ignition.
So there you heard and saw MECO, stage sep, and hopefully you heard Jasmine call out for the 2 Alpha abort mode just before second stage ignition.
And of course, this is the second stage, powering Dragon on its flight, now traveling almost 4,000 miles per hour. Over 3 minutes since launch, the second stage will continue to power the spacecraft. And our first look at the crew inside. We'll be standing by for SECO. That's the next major milestone for this second stage engine. That comes shortly before 9 minutes into the flight, so we've still got some time on this engine.
So right now, while Crew 7 makes its way to orbit, our first stage booster is making its way back to land. So you may hear the callouts here on the net shortly that we are in the middle of our boost back burn. Right now, stage one is coasting.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Good callouts there that Dragon is on the right track. And confirmation from Commander Jasmine Mogbelli.
Continuing to see good performance on this lone Merlin vacuum engine on the stage. Also, as we've heard, nominal trajectory. That's the guidance, navigation, and control officer here at SpaceX stating that we are on the correct path. Dragon's pointed in the right direction. The second stage continues firing until, like we mentioned, second stage engine cutoff at about 8 minutes and 50 seconds into the flight. Right now, we are 4 minutes and 30 seconds since our on-time liftoff, now traveling at 5,000 miles per hour. This single Merlin vacuum engine can provide over 220,000 pounds of thrust in the vacuum of space, doing its job to take our crew to the International Space Station today.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
More good news from Mission Control.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
So with that Bermuda call out, we actually know that the ground station transmitting this flight data back to us is coming from Bermuda.
The crew is currently pulling a little more than 1G as the second stage engine continues to propel their flight. Continuing to hear good calls to the crew, now 5 minutes and 30 seconds into the flight, traveling at 6,400 miles per hour. Again, we will continue to see the second stage fire for about 3 more minutes. Shortly after second stage engine cutoff, we will see it separate from Dragon, which will continue its journey.
Now, at this point in the flight, we are just about 15 seconds away from stage 1 entry burn start. At this point, the center engine on Falcon 9 will be lit for just about 10 seconds to help us slow the vehicle down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. That's not the only thing helping us on re-entry, though. The first stage sees high drag on re-entry, which scrubs roughly 70% of the velocity by the time the landing burn begins, which you just had great views of on the left-hand side of your screen. Florida Space Coast beginning to come into view in the background. All while Crew 7, of course, on the right-hand side of your screen, lit up by that MVAC engine, continues on its way to orbit.
And we are now coming up on continuing to get good calls as we reach almost 7 minutes into the flight. Crew traveling at 9,400 miles per hour. Again, we still have about 1 minute, 45 seconds left with the second stage propelling the crew.
And of course, we are also expecting that landing burn start from Falcon 9 any second now. Great views.
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
I'm going to read out the mission details from SpaceX and then show simulations and weather briefing, and we'll await propellant pull, and I'll be gone for about 27 minutes until SpaceX's stream starts, and we'll get with this launch. Before launch, at 38 minutes, the launch director verifies go for propellant loading. At 35 minutes, RP1 loading begins, and ALOX loading begins on first stage. 16 minutes, second stage engine chill down sequence happens. At 7 minutes, engine chill down sequence starts. At 1 minute, flight computer does final preload checkouts and pressurizes the vehicle for launch. At 45 seconds, the launch director verifies go for launch. At 30 seconds, engine ignition sequence happens. At 0 seconds, Falcon 9 lifts off. At 1 minute and 8 seconds, max Q happens. 2 minutes and 26 seconds, the first stage engine cuts off. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the first and second stages separate. At 2 minutes and 37 seconds, the second stage engine starts. At 3 minutes and 5 seconds, the fairing deploys. At 6 minutes and 8 seconds, the first stage entry burn begins. At 6 minutes and 28 seconds, about 20 seconds after it starts, it will shut down. 7 minutes 51 seconds, the first stage landing burn begins. At 8 minutes 13 seconds, the first stage lands. 8 minutes and 39 seconds, the second stage engine cuts off. At 53 minutes and 13 seconds, the second stage engine starts. 2 seconds after that, it cuts off. And about at T plus 1 hour, the NROL-186 payload is deployed and it ends the mission. So for the first stage is launch, stage separation, float maneuver, governs deploy, entry burn, aerodynamic guidance, vertical landing, autonomous drone ship landing. For the second stage is launch, stage separation, fairing deployment, and payload separation. In that order. So, let's simulate a Falcon 9 launch and landing real quick. There will be sun still for the launch. So, yeah. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. Ignition and liftoff. NROL-186. Getting ready for the entry burn on the first stage. First stage entry burn startup. First stage is transformer. First stage is transformer. And there's Falcon 9's landing. Here's the weather briefing. You can see some cumulus clouds around the area, but that's not too bad, but weather's about 80% go. Anyways, I'll see you guys in 13 minutes. Or about 39 minutes. Bye. Here's an update from SpaceX. All systems are looking good, and weather's go for liftoff. Propellant load is about to begin of tonight's launch of Starlink, or not Starlink, NROL-186 mission from California. Propellant loading is starting at 35 minutes before the launch. See you in 25 minutes, or 10 minutes before the launch. Nah, 13. Okay, see you. Watch this.
Nice launch trajectory and countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
Good evening and welcome to the NROL-186 mission launch webcast. The Falcon 9 rocket carrying tonight's payload is currently awaiting liftoff from Slick 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, just 8 minutes and 54 seconds from now. Hello everyone, my name is Zachary Lupin and I'm an avionics reliability engineer here at SpaceX. Today's mission carries a national security payload designed, built, and operated by the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. Tonight's mission marks SpaceX's 362nd overall launch, the 67th launch of 2024, and the 6th NRO launch of a Falcon 9 rocket. This mission continues the NRO's development of cutting-edge capability that delivers critical information that can only be obtained from the vantage point of space. And while it's a bit cloudy at Vandenberg Space Force Base tonight, both the range and vehicle are currently green, and we are on track for an on-time liftoff at 8:14 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, it's also worth noting that we will not be showing any Stage 2 or payload deployment views at the request of the customer. For now, let's meet the vehicle and learn a little bit more about the most flown U.S. launch vehicle ever, our Falcon 9 rocket. Falcon 9 is a two-stage rocket developed and manufactured by SpaceX, known for its safe, reliable, and cost-effective access to space. It's also the first and currently the only orbital-class rocket capable of reflight. Starting at the top of the vehicle is the payload fairing, which is a protective shell that encases the payload or satellite being sent to space. Made of a carbon composite material and having a 17-foot diameter, the space within the payload fairing is able to comfortably contain your average-sized fire truck. That fairing, made up of two halves, will separate and jettison away from the vehicle, exposing the payload once Falcon 9 reaches space. Continuing on down the vehicle, we have the second stage. The second stage is powered by a single Merlin vacuum engine, or MVAC engine, which is optimized to perform in the vacuum of space. After stage separation, the MVAC engine will ignite and carry the payload to its final orbit. The second stage is connected to Falcon 9, to the Falcon 9 first stage via the black inner stage, which houses the MVAC engine and the system that decouples two stages during stage separation. And below that is the first stage, which is powered by 9 Merlin engines. These 9 Merlin engines provide the initial thrust to lift Falcon 9 off the ground through the lower, thicker part of the atmosphere. There are 8 engines arranged around one center engine and are collectively held in place by a structure called the octaweb. Each of these Merlin 1D engines delivers about 190,000 pounds of thrust at sea level, which gives Falcon 9 a combined 1.7 million pounds of thrust. After stage separation, Stage 1, also called the booster, will return to Earth for recovery and reuse on a future mission using a combination of the Merlin sea-level engines and the four
Stage 1 fuel load is complete.
And the 4 titanium grid fins located near the top of the booster, which will guide the vehicle during its re-entry and landing. The Falcon 9 first stage is also equipped with 4 landing legs that will deploy just before landing and allow for vertical touchdown of a drone on a drone ship or a landing pad. And for today's mission, we'll be attempting to land this booster on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which is currently stationed in the Pacific Ocean. Both the weather and the vehicle continue to look good for today's launch out of Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. The Falcon 9 booster supporting today's mission is flying for its 8th time tonight, having previously supported NASA Crew 7, CRS-29, PACE, Transporter 10, EarthCare, and 2 separate Starlink missions. The payload fairings supporting tonight's mission are also flight proven, with one half flying for its 13th time and the other flying for its 7th time. Coming up shortly, the Transporter Erector, or TE, will retract away from the Falcon rocket. The TE is that large truss structure you see there next to the vehicle. First, we'll see the clamp arms open around the second.
Pressurizing for a strong back retract.
Good call out there. First, we'll see the clamp arms open around the second stage, and then the TE will pull away from the rocket by roughly 77 degrees. And this is set to start in just under 30 seconds from now.
Strong back retract has started.
And good call out there that strong back retract has started. And while they're a bit difficult to see, you can see those clamp arms opening around the second stage. The first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, but the TE is hinged and will retract away from the vehicle in preparation for launch. You may hear the TE referred to as the strong back from the launch team, and it does a lot of heavy lifting in the lead up to launch. It's designed to transport, raise, and support Falcon 9 at the launch pad. The TE is also equipped with umbilicals or flexible lines that are used to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry from the ground systems to the rocket and payload until Falcon 9 switches to internal power and clears the pad. You can now see that strong back retracting away from the Falcon 9 vehicle on the pad. At this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of rocket-grade kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. And both the first and second stages should finish propellant loading about a minute apart from each other, with the first stage finishing up at the T-minus 3 minute mark.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
And there's that call out for stage 1 LOX loading completion, and the second stage will finish up at around the T-minus 2 minute mark. Now, those white clouds that you see around the vehicle are comprised of the chilled gas above the LOX tank that is vented overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed. And when that vented oxygen mixes with the warmer California air, it condenses into clouds. At the T-minus 60-second mark, Falcon 9 will be in startup, and this will mean that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers will have taken over the launch countdown. And just inside of T-minus 2 seconds, we'll light the M1D engines for liftoff. The NRO payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is still looking green despite the clouds and fog, and the range is ready to support our T0 of 8:14 p.m. Pacific time. And with that, we're proceeding into the last few minutes of terminal count.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
And there's that call out that stage 2 LOX loading is complete on the vehicle.
Ground gas closeout system.
And good call out from there. In about 24 seconds, we should hear that call out that Falcon 9 is in startup, which means that the vehicle's autonomous flight computers will have taken over the launch countdown.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And there's that call out that Falcon 9 is in startup. Coming up in just a few moments, we'll hear the launch director, or LD, give the final go for launch.
LD is go for launch.
And there you heard the LD give the final go for today's mission. At T-minus 38 seconds and counting, all systems are go for launch of Falcon 9. So let's sit back and watch as Falcon takes the NROL-186 mission to space.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And liftoff, Falcon 9, go SpaceX, go NROL-186.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1, chamber pressure nominal.
At T plus 30 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Coming up next, the vehicle will be passing through Max Q, which is the point in the mission profile where the vehicle will experience the greatest amount of aerodynamic pressure as it ascends.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Good call out there. We should hear that call out for Max Q in about 15 seconds from now.
Vehicle is supersonic. Max Q.
And there's that call out for Max Q. Coming up next, we'll have 3 events happening in quick succession, starting with MECO, followed by Stage SEP, and then SES-1. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, is where all 9 Merlin 1D engines shut down to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation, which is where the first stage separates from the second stage. Followed by this, the MVAC engine on the second stage will light, which is called out as second engine start 1, second engine start 1, or SES-1. This engine burn, lasting several minutes, will propel the second stage and the payload to orbit. And in addition to these 3 major events, the fairing halves will separate less than a minute after SES-1. So keep an eye out for all of these events happening in about 30 seconds from now. And as a reminder, we will not have any views of Stage 2 or the payload at the request of our customer.
Main engine cut off. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition.
And there you heard those callouts back to back, which again were MECO, stage separation, and SES-1. Coming up shortly, we should hear a callout for fairing separation, but as a reminder, we will not be showing it on screen. Both payload fairing halves supporting tonight's mission are flight proven, with one half flying for its 13th time and the other flying for its 7th time.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there's that confirmation of fairing separation. We'll be attempting to retrieve both of these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth with our recovery vessel Go Beyond, currently stationed in the Pacific Ocean. We're currently at T plus 3 minutes and 36 seconds into today's mission. Now the next major milestone coming up in a few minutes from now will be the entry burn of the Falcon 9 booster as it continues on its journey towards the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship currently stationed in the Pacific Ocean. Now to start the entry burn, we'll relight 3 of the M1D engines, which is similar to pumping the brakes to slow down the vehicle as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow the vehicle down to reduce re-entry forces, which will then help us recover and reuse the first stage. Now, during the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but it's still moving really fast. And this causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, also known as the rocket's plume, which deposits a layer of soot onto the vehicle's surface. That soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, the soot builds up a little more on the outside of the vehicle. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical space infrastructure, and in today's case, for national security. The Falcon 9 first stage that is supporting today's mission is flying for its 8th time today. This booster previously supported NASA Crew 7, CRS-29, PACE, Transporter 10, EarthCare, and 2 Starlink missions. We should be hearing the call out for the entry burn of the Falcon 9 booster in about 30 seconds from now. Now, the Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level, and these achieve 190,000 pounds of thrust each during ascent and descent. At liftoff, Falcon 9's first stage has the thrust greater than 5 747 airplanes at full power. Now, the MVAC engine on the second stage, which is not shown, has a much wider nozzle, and it's optimized to 220,500 pounds of thrust in vacuum.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there's that call out for the entry burn on the Falcon 9 first stage. This will last about 20 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there you heard that call out for entry burn shutdown on the Falcon 9 first stage.
Vehicles are on nominal trajectories.
And good call out there. Now, as the vehicle descends through the Earth's atmosphere, be sure to watch that stage 1
FTSS saved.
Be sure to watch the stage 1 telemetry on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, which will show the vehicle rapidly decelerating as it descends back to Earth. Coming up in about 30 seconds from now, we'll have the landing burn on the Falcon 9 first stage, and the landing burn is the final burn of the Falcon 9 booster used to reduce the remaining speed of the vehicle in order to allow for a soft touchdown on the drone ship. We should be hearing that call out for the landing burn startup in just a few moments from now.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there you heard and saw startup of the landing burn on the Falcon 9 first stage. As a reminder,
Stage 2 terminal guidance.
As a reminder, this booster is set to land on the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship currently stationed in the Pacific Ocean.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there you heard and saw a successful call out of the Falcon 9 booster landing on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You. This was the 8th launch and landing for this first stage. This landing marks SpaceX's 326th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Today's mission marks SpaceX's 362nd overall mission to date and the 67th mission of this year. Now, as a reminder, we will not be showing any Stage 2 or deployment views at the request of our customer. So with that landing of the Falcon 9 booster, we'll be bringing today's webcast to a close. Thank you to the National Reconnaissance Office for entrusting us with today's mission. And if you're interested in more launch coverage, be sure to check SpaceX.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.
Wow, what a beautiful view of that launch. Anyways, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.